Hey folks, 2 minutes to go and we will be starting. Just getting this up onto YouTube. I think that's now working. Folks, 2 minutes to go. Oopsie. And we will... Okay. Right, I think that is it. Hey. Cool, I can see you all here now, thank you. So we've got those, hey Chris in the car, Mike, Arvina, oh wow, there's a bunch of you. Good to see you all today. And for those on the YouTube, hey. Right, 1 minute and then we'll crack on. Praying the internet works. I'm using a different internet today, so hopefully that works. Okay, 12 o'clock, let's crack on. So as usual, if my internet dies and my Zoom suddenly stops, I will be back. I'll just have to swap internets. So it's a likely thing. Also, because this link has gone out all over the internet, Twitter, etc., I have muted you all and you are not able to unmute yourself. Every time I tweet out a Zoom link on Twitter, we have endless problems. So I think I will, yesterday, someone said, hi Simon, can you just unmute me? I have a question. And I was like, I don't know. I unmuted him and then he was like, yeah, swearing, and then had to kick him. So I'm going to have to vet people that want to unmute themselves. But as I talk, I will please pop your questions down in the Zoom chat or in the YouTube chat, and I will be going through them. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to quickly rattle through. I'll talk about the crypto stuff first, then I'll look at the questions, then I'll move on to the next thing. So these daily sessions are supposed to be half an hour long, and I don't think I've ever done a half an hour session. So screw it, these are going to be half an hour to 60-minute long sessions, and we'll just see what happens. Right, without further ado, let's talk about crypto. So what did I say in the title? Today's live session will be about crypto energy and usability debate. That's surprisingly still bouncing around. And then we'll look, yeah. So first of all, I want to talk about the energy thing, because so one of my rules, my New Year's resolutions was to massively decrease the amount of time Facebook absorbs of my life, if that makes sense. So I had a little look at myself and my Facebook activities during 2020, and I realized I got sucked into so many freaking debates. It's ridiculous. And we've all been sucked into a Facebook debate. You see a status, you're like, no, that's shit. And before you know it, your heckles get up because a notification, someone's replied to your comment, and you're like, oh my God. And then you're out, probably with the family, and someone's written something and you're like, oh shit, I need to reply. Oh, it's just silly. We're just little monkeys. We're no different than watching people on Big Brother and people, the participants in Big Brother having an argument, and then we're sat at home watching and go, that's such a pathetic argument. Why are they even arguing? Well, we are all like that on Facebook. So 2021, I have massively reduced my Facebook activity, and it's been great. And even now, I see like a Facebook status or someone commenting on something, and even when I've thought that is just plain wrong, it's rubbish, it's BS, I haven't even bitten. But then last night I bit. We all have weak moments, and so last night I saw a Facebook status and I did a tiny bite. And I think so I'm going to share that. I've asked for permission to share that Facebook status, so I'll read it out later. Right, so just quickly, Siddharth. Oh yeah, I remember. Tuesday, 12 o'clock is where, so for the bot tweaking type stuff, it's the other Zoom session. So Lewis in my office is holding a live session right now about the bot. So check the link in the Facebook group or the emails. The link will be in the Facebook group. But this is nothing to do with the bot today. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the energy. So almost on a weekly basis, or basically whenever crypto or Bitcoin makes an all-time high, I see articles going around, going, oh, Bitcoin uses so much energy, or it's using more energy than Norway or Argentina, kill it, blah, blah, blah. And I receive a lot of messages about the energy debate, like all the time. And they're hit pieces. They're nearly all are hit pieces. And it's just like the automotive industry, how they spend tens of millions of dollars per year in anti-Tesla, anti-electric car propaganda. And the same smear campaign is strong and enforced with Bitcoin and crypto. I mean, if you take Tesla, for example, the oil industry makes roughly $2.8 billion profit, not revenue, profit per day, which is obscene. They make $2.8 billion profit per day. So every single day that the oil industry can sort of kick the can down the road and delay Elon Musk and whatever, they're basically securing $2.8 billion per day profit. So surely it's a great ROI. That's a great trade. If they can spend, 10, even $100 million a year on smear campaigns to basically secure $2.8 billion per day of profit. It's like, yeah, it's the easiest trade ever. And guess what? A lot of oil companies own PR companies and news outlets. So it's the same thing with crypto. So guess who's behind the crypto hit pieces? Yeah, it's the existing incumbents, the financial sector. So here are my thoughts. And I actually wrote some of this down. So I'll find it. I'll put it in a Word doc somewhere. But basically, what you need to do is, in fact, I may as well share this now because it's going to be share screen, share. Here we go. So a little bit of homework, and it will take a bit of time, but all I'm asking you to do is to calculate the energy every central bank and bank users, every clearinghouse, plus every merchant provider and gateway, plus SWIFT, plus the dollar payment network, plus every interbank clearing and liquidity providers, plus every tech company that supports and maintains all of the above. So companies like Revolut, etc. Plus the army of computer and data centers required to facilitate everything above. Plus the carbon footprint and energy usage of the tens of millions of employees and people to run all of this. What you'll find when you add up the terawatt hours with all of that, it makes Bitcoin look like a tiny nothing. It's not even on the radar, like when you compare it. So it's absolutely obscene. So there's some charts where people go, oh, look, this is the amount of power or energy consumed to have currencies in existence, and compared to Bitcoin. And they I mean, you can make every stat, say what you want it to say. But all they're doing is that they're probably just looking at the energy consumption of, the actual factories that print the cash, and it's not the whole picture. This is the whole picture. So to facilitate your bank account and and money in your account, all of this has to work in a like a harmonious web of tech, basically. And that energy consumption is vast, absolutely vast. So stop the share. Yeah, so it's literally gargantuan. Now, the next thing, which a lot of people don't understand, is that you then have to count every single building that is part of all of that big list, i.e. the existing financial infrastructure. That's millions of buildings, probably tens of millions of buildings. And buildings are in the top 3 polluters of the planet, along with transportation and livestock. They are the top 3 polluters on the planet for CO2 emissions and CO2 emissions mainly, and carbon monoxide as well. And so all in all, the existing financial system consumes more energy and pollutes the world way more than crypto, Bitcoin, or crypto as a whole. And so the next thing you have to do is then sort of gauge things on an absolute scale. So whenever I look at anything, you have to look at an absolute scale. So otherwise, it's like saying, a grape is X million% bigger than a grain of sand. grapes are huge. And so you can make stats look funny like that. But on the absolute scale, the energy consumption is tiny. So when you compare Bitcoin energy consumption to global consumption, it's less than 0.3%. Literally, as we speak today, I think it's roughly 89 terawatt hours. It's like 0.3% of global consumption. And then you need to see how much Bitcoin energy consumption is produced by renewable or non-polluting energy sources. And it's high, it's roughly 78%. In fact, I've probably got a screenshot somewhere. Where is it? Here we go. If I can just swap my screen over, share the screen. I'm really bad at that. So here's from Statista. So this is an estimate, by the way. It's hard to gauge exactly, but Bitcoin is using between 52 and 89, or call it 90 terawatt hours per year. Okay, so as a random number, doesn't mean a lot to anyone. But where is the picture? Here we go. I found a whole bunch of random pictures, which is cool. So this one, 78% of Bitcoin's energy or electricity usage is from renewables, which is just obscene, like as in amazing. And it won't be long. I would say within 7 years, this will be 100%. 100%. Awesome. So I'm just looking at the videos. So there's a Chris in the car with an absolute amazing beard. That is some good growth, sir. If you're Chris driving a car with an awesome beard. You remind me of one of the adverts. What is it? Beard Oil Club or something like that. I don't know if you've seen the advert, but it's like a spin-off from, or like a company that was very similar to _daunting. And so some guys with big beards are like, right, we're going to make beardoil.com or something like that. Check it out. Anyway, moving on. I'm just envious because I can't grow facial hair. I get basically facial bum fluff. And I haven't shaven for like probably a month, and this is all I've got. Anyway, so moving on. I don't know why I'm talking about facial hair. Let's move. Yeah. So this is 78% of Bitcoin. Yeah, it's all renewable. Give it a few years, it's going to be 100%. And then what all the haters going to say? Yeah, they'll probably say, oh yeah, it's 100% renewable. But what if you put, it's diverting energy away from good causes? Oh, well, Jesus. No, you cannot win this debate, by the way. We will never win this debate until like all Bitcoin mining is in space, because it doesn't, by the way, Bitcoin mining doesn't have to be on planet Earth. And there's nothing stopping putting, Elon getting, just waking up one day and go, right, screw this. We're going to put shitloads of satellites up in space, and they're just going to be full of Bitcoin mining rigs, and we'll make all of Bitcoin mining, solar powered from space. There we go. That's probably the only, that, and then people probably shut the hell up. So that's that one. And yeah, I found another one. In fact, these are all from the same tweet thread. Dan Held, don't know who he is. What is he? Looks like he's some sort of crypto person, but yeah, he came up with some cool stats. So this is, so this is done in gigajoules, but look where crypto sits. So governments is huge, banking system is huge, paper currency and mint. So when you add a lot of these up, it's nothing compared to, well, Bitcoin is nothing compared to the others. It's crazy. So that's that. Let's stop the share. Right, what was I talking about? I sort of went off on one. Yeah, so at the end of the day, this topic is akin to all of, I guess, the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, deceit that popped up around sort of 1915 when ICE vehicles, so internal combustion engine vehicles, started to quickly replace horses. And so the snapshot you're seeing right now is basically, as in the snapshot of crypto, as you look at crypto right now, this is a tiny snapshot of the new financial system. And it's just in an embryonic stage. And so, of course, when you look at anything in an embryonic stage, it's going to look pitiful. Look at a human in an embryonic stage. You're like, what? This little thing, how's this going to get into space or whatever? Hell, look at a tiny newborn kangaroo. it's like you can hold it in your hand, and then a few years later, it turns into some freaking beefcake that can punch you or kick you. Like, it is like a baby kangaroo, the crypto space right now. So perhaps a better analogy is when the world first started to digitize the monetary system back in the 1970s. So a lot of people think, digital currency has been around since, 1990 or the 2000s, but it hasn't. It really first started in the 1960s, but then 1970s is where it sort of took off a bit. And back then, people said, what's wrong with old coins and notes? We've used coins and notes for thousands of years, and we don't need any fancy money. Well, fast forward now, the whole world is using digital currency to a degree. Like, all the money, when you check your bank account, what are you looking at? You're looking at numbers on a screen. There's really not that much in terms of, coins and notes these days, and especially with the whole COVID stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're going to see a phasing out of cash over the next few years. And they're just going to blame, cash transmits viruses and stuff like that, so we're just going to get rid of it. And you'll see that coincide when the Bank of England rolls out their CBDC, central bank digital currency. So, yeah. Now, in terms of what the current system can't do, well, it's grossly incapable of facilitate. So when you look at the existing financial system, banks, blah, 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 it's grossly incapable of facilitating the new tech world that is emerging. We're about to have a massive tech explosion. And so it simply cannot facilitate the Internet of Things or the Internet of Everything revolution, which is going to hit everyone by storm, by the way. If you're not familiar with Internet of Things or Internet of Everything, you will. There will be literally tens of trillions of devices, smart devices, all connected to the internet, all communicating with each other, doing microtransactions. Like, the existing financial system just can't handle that. And so let's take the current system like Visa, etc. They have huge scaling issues. So there's a chart that shows, Visa transactions per second versus Bitcoin transactions per second. And it's a very misleading meme. Visa basically has huge scaling issues. Whereas if you take a DAG crypto, so a directed acyclic graph crypto, which there are plenty of. If you look at Tangle in that IOTA users, if you look at what Nano uses with their block lattice, they have infinite scaling. So scaling isn't a problem. And they have infinite transactions per second. So TPS isn't a thing. And ultimately, Bitcoin or crypto is a protocol. Okay. And this is really important. Protocols last a long freaking time. Language is a protocol. The Arabian numeric system, like numbers, basic numbers as we know it, 1, 2, 3, 4, how they're written. That's called the Arabian numeracy system, and that's still around. We still use it today. That's a protocol, and Bitcoin or crypto is a protocol, and it will last for centuries. It is the new financial system, and so the current incumbent financial system has a lot to lose with the rise of crypto. So all of this FUD going around is financed and initiated by them, as mentioned. And like with anything, like with any power that's scared of something new, they'll ridicule it, lambast it, they'll ban it. And then when that's futile, they'll just buy it up and control it. So I found, in fact, someone posted a really good meme, which is worth sharing. I think it was on one of my trading thingy-majiggies. Let's share the screen. RT community. Come on, internet. God, you can only just manage one thing at a time. Connection unstable. Are we still here? Yeah, we are. Okay, it's going to be here somewhere. If I just scroll down, I'll probably find it. Sorry, I should have got this ready. No. Oh, if I look at media, actually, recent media, it will be here. It should be here, unless I'm in the wrong freaking group. This one, yeah. So I can't zoom in. Let's save image as, yeah. Let's open it up. If we zoom in. And so, as I said, if they can't control it, they'll ridicule it, and then they'll just own it. So on the left-hand side is basically all of the big companies and banks saying crypto's useless, don't do it. And then now, what are they doing? They're buying it up. So my only real criticism of Bitcoin really is the fact that it's supposed to be a decentralized currency or system, but it's not. It's massively centralized now simply because there's so many massive whales that own it. The banking sector is now very quickly gobbling it all up, and they effectively own it, and all of the miners. So really, it's just the banks and miners that own Bitcoin, really, when you look at the large wallets. So yeah, that's my only real criticism of it. But yeah, so as I said, they'll ridicule it if they can't control it, and then they own it. And so also, when you look at crypto from a central bank or the IMF perspective, they actually need crypto tech. They specifically DLTs, distributed ledger technologies, in order to roll out their CBDCs, their central bank digital currencies. And they need CBDCs in order to roll out a sort of a newer form of UBI, universal basic income, which is, and also a cashless society so they can enforce global negative rates, which please, there's loads of other YouTube videos which I've put out. The main one being, oh no, we'll do that another time. But yeah, you've heard me talk about cashless society stuff before. So yeah, that's basically, I guess, the energy thing. And now I think where is it? Oh yeah, last thing on the energy. One more tweet that I found, if I can share my screen. Share screen. Here we go. Look at this from that same tweet thread. US Christmas lights use more energy than entire countries. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so look at all the energy that the Western world, or the Christian world, is using during Christmas for Christmas lights. It's obscene. Let's ban Christmas lights whilst we're at it. Let's ban, I mean, hell, you could look at any industry and go, oh my God, that's obscene. Let's ban beef consumption. Look at the amount of energy and resources that is required to produce a kilogram of beef. It's ridiculous. It uses so much water, so much grain. I think half of all grain and wheat that is made on the planet goes to cattle. Half. It's nuts. Let's ban beef while we're at it. Let's ban fishing. Let's ban, like, you can have that same argument with everything. So that's that. Now, let's move on to onto the usability thing. I'll go through this Facebook thread, and then I'll look at the comments. So please continue putting your questions in the YouTube and the Zoom chat, or your thoughts, and then we'll open it up for a little chat. So here is. And by the way, permission here. So as I said, as you can see here, do you mind if I use this thread as an example debate for my live session tomorrow? He said, help yourself. So I've got permission to do this. So this was the thread. So I was just scrolling down my Facebook feed and I saw this. And this person said the average per transaction fee is spiked to $52. $52 transaction fee. Not much use if you just want to pay for pizza. No one buys anything with Bitcoin pretty much these days. It's not a currency for everyday use. I think we all know that by now. Another reminder that Bitcoin is no use as a medium of exchange. Yeah, I agree. It's not. It's digital gold. That's basically what it is. It's taking all of the benefits of gold, and really not many of the negatives. So it's much better to own Bitcoin than gold, really. So moving, and then yeah, tech radar, blah blah blah. And then it shares an article of how there's a bit of a jam. So first of all, the reason there's a transaction jam at the moment is mainly due to this. When you look at the on-chain data, there's a massive power cut in China, and most of Bitcoin's mining power is in China. So more miners, I can't talk. There are more miners in China than anywhere else, and they produce most of the mining simply because of their cheap electricity. And so they had a massive power cut in one province, and then yeah, that caused a bit of an outage. So that's the sort of the power cut thing. And so let's look at the comments into this. And 160,000 transactions in the queue. Yeah, how exactly, how much is the wait going to cost? My pound is more stable over 12 months than Bitcoin is over 5 minutes. So I don't normally comment on other people's threads, but I don't know. I just bit. I don't know why. And I said, you're joking, right? This is how much the pound has lost in value against Bitcoin over the years. Bitcoin has been a terrible harbor of capital in comparison. So I was on my phone at this point. Come on, load up. Why is my picture not loading up? Screw it. We'll just go to TradingView. You can see. Oh, here we go. So this is literally the pound against Bitcoin. And when you look at charts, so whenever you look at anything with a pair, so when I say a pair, so this is Bitcoin against the pound, you very rarely see anything, or no, you can't really see anything on its own. So even if you're looking at a stock, you know, BP stock, it's not BP on its own, it's BP against the pound or BP against the dollar. Every chart is against something else, it's a ratio. So this chart is Bitcoin against the pound. Another way you could look at a chart, and if I had time, I should have probably done this. So if you did the inverse, I mean, you can make, in fact, you could take that same chart and swap it around and go, you could do a performance chart. So you could flip it around and go, okay, pound against Bitcoin. You could then have a performance of 0%. So this is a negative, this is positive. And then over time, so time will be on the bottom axis as well. It would look like this. So if you put the pound against Bitcoin, the pound is absolutely cratered in value against Bitcoin. But obviously, if you then flip these around, it then gives you a chart like this, which is just obscene. I mean, even if you look at the last year, it's gone from literally a year ago, call it $8,000, so £8,000 to £40,000. That's what, 400% increase? Wait, let's work that out. What's the difference? 32,000, divide that by 8,000 times 100, 400%. So Bitcoin has rallied 400% against the pound in just the last 12 months. Oh yeah. And also when you measure the pound, so a lot of people measure the pound against other currencies, but the thing is, try measuring the pound against everything else in your life. Measure it against oil, it's crashed. Measure the pound against groceries, it's crashed. Measure the pound against your rent, your mortgage, it's crashed. Your income, it's crashed. The pound is like a freaking ice cube in the Sahara Desert. You don't want to store your wealth in ice cubes. So 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶 has said, funny the way they phrase it, 3-week low, huge drop, despite the fact it's been higher than ever before, and it's just had a bit of a correction. Yeah, completely agree. So let's read, let's be fair, let's read Gary's thing. For clarity, my comments were an observation on the dangers associated with the obvious bottleneck in the event that there is a run for the exit. A, delay in execution of a transaction. B, the price uncertainty. C, the cost of processing the transaction. I accept everything that is said that makes crypto look like the most outstanding investment in almost all human history as it stands. The problem I see with it makes me fear for those who don't understand the risks. Well, my quick point, I don't think Gary fully understands crypto so far. Just from this Facebook status and these comments, I can see inherent like gaps of knowledge. If anything happens that changes the game, there could be a run on Bitcoin. And these price movements in the last 48 hours show that it is not a safe haven by any definition. Well, it is. It is a safe haven. Just look at what crypto's done over the last decade compared to the pound. Hell, if you just look at the pound value, value of the pound, historic chart. Here we go. Let's just tradingeconomics.com. The thing is, the public in general are myopic. We look at things in a 5-year outlook, but then when you look at things over the long run, this is the value of the pound. It is not a store of value. Yet everyone's storing their wealth in pounds or dollars, whatever. It's crashed remarkably. I mean, this goes back to 1957. If you look at it from 1900, it starts way up here, top left. But the pound loses value in so many different ways. It's ridiculous. Whatever you measure it in, so against silver or gold, it's just crashed. And obviously, we're only sort of 10 years into the crypto story, but I'd rather store my wealth in Bitcoin than the pound. And so, and also it's finite. Bitcoin is finite, whereas pounds can be printed into oblivion, which is what's happened. You only need to go to, if you just go to Fred M1, obviously they've discontinued this chart because they're trying to hide a whole bunch of stuff. But this is how much they're printing. This is just the US. I mean, it's the same in the UK. Like, look at the amount of currency they just printed since 2020 is obscene. And this also shows us the amount that they printed from 2009 to 2012, which was like the biggest in history back then. It doesn't even register. It's just nuts. So let's go back to this. Paul then says, Gary, I agree. If you get that kind of bottleneck, Bitcoin is a slow beast. I much prefer Ethereum. It's a risk reward thing for me. The rewards far outweigh the risk, assuming you're using risk capital and you're prepared to write it off. Well, I see things slightly differently these days. So I agree. I agreed with this back in 2017, but things have changed now. Things have changed massively. We are now in an incredibly hot environment in terms of currency supply. Every currency on the planet is being printed into oblivion. And therefore, it's inflationary. So when you look at in terms of the currency supply, so you absolutely do not want to harbor your wealth in a currency supply which is increasing. You need something which is finite. So you need a currency supply which is fixed, or it appreciates or it grows slower than the ambient currency. So is the currency supply of Bitcoin increasing faster than the currency supply of the dollar or the pound or the rupee or the yen? No. And therefore, in comparison, the Bitcoin currency supply is deflationary in comparison to the pound. And therefore, economics 101, investing 101, it's logic. It makes logical sense to store your wealth in the deflationary currency supply and you spend in the inflationary currency supply. So what you should do is, like, again, economics 101 is you borrow money, not using the word money, you borrow in the inflationary currency and you store in the deflationary currency. So if you're going to get out a loan, you don't want to take out a loan in Bitcoin or Ether or whatever. You need to take out a loan in ice cubes. So the pound. So you take out a pound loan. You then spend it as fast as you can. Or you convert that pounds into stuff that isn't flittering away. Or you borrow money in the pound and you harbor it in Bitcoin. Simple. Or crypto in general. It is pure logic. When you look at everything from a logic perspective, it's insane to even have pounds, as in to store wealth in pounds. Yes, there's volatility. Volatility does not equal risk. And that's the other misconception. People think, oh, volatility equals risk. It doesn't. They're not connected. Volatility does not equal risk. So, yeah. And then I think he said the cost of transferring stuff, like, is crazy. Like, this isn't even a thing. Here's just a random example. Someone transferred $1 billion in Bitcoin for less than $5. Like, Bitcoin is the clunkiest crypto out there, but even comparing Bitcoin to, transferring money, dicks all over it. So if you're transferring a lot of money via the dollar payment network, SWIFT, or just an interbank clearing transfer, it is T+3. So basically it takes 3 days, and then depending on how much you're playing with, roughly 0.5%. So let's just do the maths. If I'm actually sending, let's call it $1 billion if let's say I'm a small hedge fund or a bank and I'm just sending $1 billion overseas, it's going to take 3 days. What's the cost of 3 days? That's a lot in terms of, time is money. But let's just look at the 0.5% fee. So $1 billion, 1 billion times half a percent, so 0.005. That's going to cost $5 million. So ballpark, $5 million and 3 days to send $1 billion. Whereas in Bitcoin, you can do it for peanuts, literally $5, if you know what you're doing. And obviously, if you're going to be moving that amount of money, you do know what you know what you're doing. So, and this is not an isolated case. There's loads of transfers like this all of the time. Even with the bottlenecks, the price is tiny. Hell, I did a chaps payment the other day. It cost me, what was it, £30 to send 100 grand somewhere. It's like, that's ridiculous. So yeah, so that's just my little 2 cents. I've gone on for what, 34 minutes on these two topics. Let's open up to the questions now. What was my point I was going to say? Yeah, so gold is clunky and illiquid, and Bitcoin is basically digital gold. That's it. If you look at, so Bitcoin isn't a daily use currency. It's a harbor of wealth, and then you simply spend whatever you're going to spend in your pounds, and that's why the Binance card that they're releasing is pretty cool. Like, you can basically store your wealth in crypto or in Bitcoin or whatever on your Binance cash card, and then when you go to pay for things with Visa, buying your 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗃 coffee, whatever, or croissant from Tesco, whatever, then it will convert it straight away. So that's that. Let's have a look at the chat box now, and then we'll move on to the next topic. So on Zoom, Tom, first question out of the block. Want to make some quick money from a little more than risk capital, knowing the risk. With today's general pullbacks across the board on cryptos, which 1 to 3 coins do you think are most likely to give the best ROI over the next 30 days? I hate this question. Every single Zoom, every single live question, I get this session, I get this question. I have no idea over the next 30 days. Everything I'm putting in, all the money I'm putting in, at the moment with this dip, I don't have a 30-day time view. I have until Christmas time view. That's where I see the end of this rally. Basically, I think the live session I did yesterday, or the trading pub, I can't remember. It all blurs into one these days. When you look at the stock to flow, we should hit a peak anytime between mid-July to early January. And I would say it's probably towards the latter. So, we'll probably have the Santa rally, the Halloween effect, and then the Santa rally, and then probably hit a high in January. So I'm aiming to get out. So everything I'm putting in crypto is with a view to basically sidestep in January. But what am I putting in right now? I'm buying more gas, as in the Neo gas. I'm doing that. I'm buying more Solana, buying more Theta, and then the normal, buy more Binance, so BNB, Ether, Polkadot, Chainlink. What else? What are the other? In fact, I'll share with you what I've actually got. I won't share my exact percentages because hell, I don't even know that, because I know definitely. Yeah, my main ones, if going through the list, is Ether, Cardano, Binance, Polkadot. I've got quite a lot of Filecoin actually. Well, not a lot. I've only got 98 Filecoin, which, what is that? 153 times 98.83. Okay, $15,000 of Filecoin. Not much, but bear in mind I only put $1,600 into Filecoin. A lot of gas. What else? My main ones. I've got a fair bit of Nano. That's doing all right. Ontology, VeChain, been doing excellently. I think they're my biggest holds, but I want to be topping up in Solana. I like that. But yeah, bit of a random answer. Sort of showed you everything there. Tom Lee, this happened just before you joined, Simon. I'm not sure what you're talking about that. Siddharth, hey Simon. Oh no, that's the other question. Peter, just a reminder, XRP is the fastest, cheapest, greenest digital asset at the moment. Yeah, it's really, so with Ripple or XRP, you can, I think transactions take less than 30 seconds. So for that, and you have to understand why. Well, why did Ripple create it in the first place? Well, it's an interbank clearing currency. It's not an everyday currency that you're going to buy your bread and groceries with. It's for the banks. And so, yeah, they've done very well in that manner. Alexander, did your view change on buying crypto now? Your market cap and daily volume criteria was respectively 5 million / 100K. No. Pretty much all the crypto I have are pretty big projects. If you look at like so I think in terms of shitcoins, the lowest I'll go is page 6 on CoinMarketCap. I don't have any crypto which is 5 million market cap and 100K. So I think you're okay. So yeah, you're probably referring to my book that I wrote in 2017. So a better rule of thumb is basically for shitcoins, I won't go lower than page 6 of CoinMarketCap. And for my main coins, I'll stick to page 1, page 2 in terms of market cap. So that way it's all relative. Tom, oh yeah, the idiot on Twitter. And assaulted my eardrums or something. Yeah, I've just muted everyone. Sorry about that. Cool, let's look at YouTube. 𝗪𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶, how do you think crypto will change the energy sector? That's a great question, Aid. Or 𝗁𝗂𝗏, I'm not sure. Aid or 𝗁𝗂𝗏, sorry. What a lot of people aren't aware of is that crypto is actually one of the best and biggest instigators of the green revolution. It's forcing the world to go green a lot faster than it has done because it's created an arms race, a technological arms race. So basically, if you want to mine Bitcoin, it's all about your GPUs. How many ASICs can you get? Like, it's all about the kit, as in your Bitcoin mining kit. And so that's why NVIDIA's gone nuts because of Bitcoin mining predominantly, because they're building all these ASICs, which their sole use is just to mine crypto. And as a result, all of these massive crypto miners are treating Bitcoin like a business. It's like, right, we want to mine as much Bitcoin as possible. We can either set up in the UK where electricity is super, super expensive, or we can go somewhere cold like Iceland or China and get a dam built. The Bitcoin miners are actually creating and building so much renewable energy sources. It's ridiculous. As I said, 78% of all Bitcoin mining is renewable energy, and that is increasing. And so it's helping spark the green revolution a lot faster than you think. So yeah, 𝗁𝗂𝗏𝗏, it's going to change it for the positive. Ram said, do you think the government will ban Bitcoin when it becomes a threat to fiat currency? Look at the Indian government. They do this every freaking year. We're going to ban Bitcoin. And then they go, oh, actually, we're going to allow it. So what happens is tax revenue is every country's main income stream. And so everyone's making a killing with crypto. And they're like, oh, no, we can't tax them. We don't know who owns crypto. So they'll do a knee-jerk reaction of trying to ban it while they get their systems set up so they can then start tracking stuff and then getting tax paid. And so they'll say, we're going to ban it, but they can't. Can you ban the internet? Technically you could, but it would need a global concerted effort if you wanted to ban Bitcoin. I mean, the internet. It is like banning the internet. You can censor it, you can't kill it. The vaping FPV said, do you think we will still have a depression due to the economy / quantitative easing? Yes, we're in it right now. But we are in a depression as we speak. It's just being masked with a sheer amount of currency that's being printed. But yeah, as I said, I guess I feel I'm saying every day, the world is massively pregnant with tail risk, and we've got 3 ugly triplets that are coming, about to get popped out. Market crashes galore, basically. I don't know when it's going to happen. I'm just waiting. 𝗏𝗶𝗏𝗏 said, do you know anything about 𝗃𝗏𝑒𝑜s? I've heard Block 1 owns 240,000 Bitcoin. I've got EOS. It's an app development platform like Ethereum, 𝗁𝗍𝗃, and all that sort of stuff. I've only got a little bit. It's so. Yeah. 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶 has asked, I still struggle to see Bitcoin getting much past $65,000. Seeing diminishing returns peak to peak. Is 100K plus purely based on stock to flow? Yes, it is. And the logarithmic regression band. 𝗁𝗵𝗶𝗃 states we're approaching 75% chance of being near the top. Okay. I personally just stick to 2 models. And the models have been very accurate over the years. So if you just type in stock to flow, top link, look into bitcoin.com. And whilst we're doing that, let's get Bitcoin up on the logarithmic regression band. Sorry if you've seen all this before, folks. So let's go to the weekly chart, turn it into a logarithmic chart. Let's add an indicator, which is logarithmic. Get the Sean Nance one. There we go. So looking at the logarithmic regression band, these are the halvings, and the next halving is 24th, or sort of late March 2024. We're near the red, but we're not in it yet. We haven't even bounced off the bottom of it, which it should hit the bottom of this red band at least. So even if we zoom in a bit, where is the bottom of the red band? The bottom of the red band is about $83,000 if it were to happen today. However, time is our friend with crypto. So if you were to just draw a little line, let's try and extrapolate this band. Oh, it's going to be something like this. So let's say, it's actually on this chart, it's showing a bit of a bullish rectangle forming up. But let's say over, I don't know, July, mid-July is when the earliest estimations of getting up there. Well, mid-July puts us at the bottom of this band, about 100K. And obviously it could shoot over, it could not. We don't know. We've only really got 2 data points to play with. But let's say it happens around sort of late December, early January time. That puts us to about $120,000. So this is at potential pricing. But then when you look at stock to flow, which is what I really do look at, I'll zoom in here for you. The market nearly always overcompensates from this mean line. This line is sat at $100,000. I'm aware that Plan B is actually looking at the cross asset model, and he's saying he's expecting $300,000. But hey, that's whatever floats your boat. I'm being reserved. I'm seeing 100K easy. And also we're looking at this. So it's always the light yellowy, greeny bit where we see the peak, typically, which tends to put us between 800 to call it 1,000 days until the next halving. And so that's why it's basically mid-July to early January next year. That's what I'm sticking to. You don't have to stick to it, but this is what I'm doing. It's mathematical, hence structure. So that's that. Digital Dadpreneur. What platform do you use for the crypto tax to be tracked? I use recap.io. So, and it's simple. So if you go to recap.io, wait, am I sharing the screen? I always forget, share the screen. Here we go. Recap.io. Simply, you just plug in your APIs with all your different feeds, and then boom, shows you your tax straight away. It's really simple. How much do I pay for it? No idea. I must have paid 120 quid a year. 1,000 transactions, something like that. So it's worth doing. And that's literally just replaced loads of accountants for that task. I remember in 2017, I paid a lot of money for an accountant to go through my hundreds of trades on crypto. Yeah. Okay, YouTube. Ardey or Aid, what are the basics of preparing for a depression? This is in light with of the 𝗵𝗶𝗶 question. So for a depression, so we're in it right now. The best thing to prepare for it is set up a business and try and get a side hustle going. Just get a business going. Jobs, there is no such thing as job security anymore. Like in the 60s, 70s, yeah, not anymore. You have massive companies just dying, along with thousands of staff. So, or not dying, but you know what I mean. So that is why I've, shameless plug, 𝗪𝗶𝗶𝗶.org. Literally just check it out. If you want to learn how to set up a business from scratch, check out 𝗪𝗶𝗶𝗶.org. It is literally everything you need to get your business going. So that's that. I would also put as much, this is not financial advice. It's not a regulated asset, so I can say whatever I want about crypto, but I personally don't have risk capital in crypto anymore. I've got basically every spare penny. Well, not every spare penny. I've got a large amount of capital into crypto right now. In 2017, yeah, for sure, only use risk capital. But now, when I just always look at things from the bigger perspective, and the bigger perspective is that the pound and the dollar are being obliterated through currency printing. So just look at logic. Logic dictates that you need to store your wealth in something that isn't being flitted away. And right now, that's crypto. That's why I'm really bullish on Binance. Like, not only can you value it as a stock because it's making billions and it's like the Google of this space, but it's also its own crypto. So you've got tokenomics with it, and you can stake it and make a yield of like 16% a year. It's insane. It's getting into DeFi. It's getting into all sorts. Yeah. So for me, I can only say what I'm doing. For me, get into business. Make sure you're getting good income with your business. Save as much as you can every month in crypto. Hell, I don't own any Bitcoin. It's all in other cryptos, because I'm playing the alt game, and then I'll flop over to Bitcoin. For me, it's a case of getting as much fiat value as I can in this alt rally, but then when we cool off, I need to then conserve Bitcoin value. There was a comment deleted, and I completely agree with you. I think it was 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶. He said, storing wealth in Binance, lol. I completely agree, mate. Like, you really shouldn't store a huge amount of your wealth on an exchange, because that can get hacked. Most exchanges, every exchange, I think, has pretty much been hacked. But then, yeah, so you should own your own keys. Now, I've got the weird situation right now where actually a lot of my crypto wealth is on an exchange. It's not ideal. But then you also have to weigh up the risk of you and your ability of storing your own wealth. So if you're like me and you're absolutely just incompetent at remembering passwords and stuff like that, then yeah, you got to weigh up that seesaw. And that seesaw is, what's safer? Binance looking after your money, or Coinbase looking after your money, or you looking after your money? And from prior experience, I am not very good at looking after my crypto because I'm a tech dunce. I lost 15 Bitcoin in a typo back in 2016. And from 2017, I've lost, it was all in alt. Basically, I've lost access to my old 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶 account and my old KuCoin account and an old Kraken account, simply because I had my 2FA on Google Authenticator. I didn't back up the seed, and then I lost my phone, or my phone broke, or I changed it, and therefore I'm locked out of those 3 accounts. And I think, guesstimating, there's probably $20,000 worth of alts stuck on those accounts, which I can't get access to. I'm not good at looking after my crypto. So yeah, Binance is a lot better at looking after my crypto than me, or Coinbase, or Kraken, or whatever. So it's your call, but you are running that risk, that gauntlet, that you could be hacked. Yeah, so shit, we've been talking for 53 minutes. What other questions are we doing? Let's have a look on Zoom. There's nothing else on YouTube. What about on Zoom? DW Jordan Dean said, on Binance, as well as lock staking, is it worth doing flexible savings if lock staking isn't available? Yeah, why not? If you've got spare funds there that sat there doing nothing, you may as well, stake it and get it doing something. Amanda, so these days it is better to use 𝗷𝑣𝑒 to invest your money to get the interest, i.e. like dividends, from stocks and use that as your cash flow? Not really. So the thing with 𝗲𝑣𝑒 is that you can get crypto loans. They don't do cash loans. So that's the difference. There are some platforms like Nexus, Compound. I'm not sure about Compound. What was the other one? Celsius. You can do cash loans from Celsius and stuff like that. With 𝗲𝑣𝑒, you're simply borrowing other crypto. So what you want to do is like with 𝗲𝑣𝑒, if you're going to use 𝗲𝑣𝑒, you need to plonk a bunch of ether in as collateral onto 𝗲𝑣𝑒. You then need to borrow a stable coin, and you'll be paying something silly like 10, 16%. But then you need to convert that stable coin into something which is going to rally more than 16% a year or 15, whatever the APY that you're playing with. What you don't want to do is put a whole bunch of money onto 𝗲𝑣𝑒 and then borrow ether, because even if ether then moons, you still then owe the same amount of ether back. So you don't have you haven't made any profit there. So you need to borrow in the stable coin. So in terms of what you're saying, you can, so if you're going to get a loan, get a fiat loan. So yeah, you can go to somewhere like Celsius or 𝗲𝑣𝑒, plonk a bunch of ether on it, get a cash loan, which up to, call it 70% of whatever of your collateral. And that cash loan, you can then, buy more crypto with it if you want. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. You can effectively have self-liquidating loans. You can borrow a whole bunch of money and then put it into a crypto that pays a yield, like, stake it, make 15% a year. Yeah, I mean, and you can do that. I mean, if you can, I mean, here's one, I'm like, all I'm doing is brainstorming. I'm not saying you should do this, but what you could do, if you have a house, you could I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. But I'm just brainstorming here. Let's say you had a house. In fact, let's just get my share screen. We're going to get our little doodle pad. All I'm doing is I'm exercising some financial engineering here. That is all I'm doing. I'm not saying to do this, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. So if you have a house, a mortgage is like the cheapest form of lending you can get. So I don't know, let's say you've got equity in your house. You've got 200K equity. In fact, it's irrelevant what equity you have. Let's just say you have the option that you can borrow 100 grand. You can remortgage. You can borrow 100 grand. Let's say you haven't got the best rates, but let's say you're paying 2%. Okay, you remortgage your house. You're paying 2%, which is freaking nothing. You've now got 100K cash. Let's say you then go and plonk that into Binance, BNB. So Binance, as I said, massive company. It's the fastest growing company in human history. It's making billions. So as an entity, it's freaking solid. It's also got the tokenomics because it's got its own crypto value. But so what you can then do is, once you do that Binance, stake it. Now I'm staking my Binance, I think at 16%. So stake at 16% APY. So plus you're getting the PAG, the potential appreciation growth. So not only are you basically doing pure basic capital arbitrage, you're borrowing at 2%, you're staking, earning at 16%. So you're literally making 14% ROI straight off the bat. But you then have the added bonus that you have the potential appreciation gain. So if Binance continues doing its thing and rallying like a mother trucker, well, guess what? You'll end up making way more money probably on the potential appreciation gain than you are on the APY. So if you look at TradingView again, just open up Binance. It's in a bit of a dip at the moment, which is nice. Well, it looks like it's rebounding. It's epic. So assuming, let's just say Binance goes flat forever, which is unlikely. Let's say it just, ignoring the potential, the PAG, well, you're still making your flip there. So again, I just look at logic. I just look at numbers, ignore the emotion. Like, obviously, I'm aware that probably some of you are sucking through your teeth going, oh dear, there's so much risk with remortgaging, putting it into crypto 𝗁𝗲. I know so many people that got burnt in 2017. The thing is, we are not in 2017 anymore. It was just very high is not the case. Today is a completely different scene where we have all of the world's wealth rushing into the tiny doors, tiny, teeny weeny doors, and there's not much Bitcoin in the world. So that's one thing you could do. Not saying to do it, I'm just saying it's an option. Why do you think I am borrowing? I will always borrow money up to 10%. You could give me a £10 million loan today at 10% and I'll take it. I'll bite your hand off. Because I can arbitrage it. So, yeah. How do you think millionaires and billionaires get rich? It's all capital arbitrage. It's all capital arbitrage. How did I get rich? Through capital arbitrage. Converting my money into a business. That business produces cash flow. Therefore, I'm arbitraging capital into cash flow. I've made a lot of money from taking out lots of loans in the past. At one point, I've probably had about £1 million worth of personal debt. It's not bad debt. It's simply me taking out personal loans. And what did I do with all that money? I just converted it. I kind of converted it into cash flow, into investments. Simple. The thing that most people have a massive bee in their bonnet or thing is borrowing. People think borrowing is like the devil's spawn. People are so shit scared of borrowing. Well, if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, borrowing is not a good idea. Borrowing money to spend on stuff is a bad idea. Borrowing to invest is what the whole freaking world of Wall Street does. Look at margin debt. In fact, here we go. Margin debt 2021. Hopefully I can find a nice chart to show you. 17th of March is close enough. Come on. I want a chart. Look at margin debt. Insane. So what is margin debt? Margin debt is where Wall Street investors borrow money from the market, you know, from the bank or whatever, and they plow that borrowed money into stocks, basically, pretty much. And we thought margin debt was crazy in the subprime mortgage collapse. It doesn't hold a candle to where margin debt is right now. And why is margin debt through the roof? Because capital is so freaking cheap. If you're a big boy, it costs like half billions. Whereas us mere plebs, you know, if we're borrowing money, it's either, if you're lucky with a mortgage, you can remortgage and borrow money at 1-2%. But if you're borrowing from a bank, you're still bleeding out the arse with fees and, you know, like probably 10% close to. So yeah, that is that. Binance sold out with their staking, unfortunately, or on all time frames or just one time frame, because they do multiple time frames. Yeah, Jamie, spot on. People think borrowing is bad, yet everyone is okay to borrow a mortgage to purchase a house. What cash flow does a house give you? Nothing. It sucks money out of you. A house is not cash flowing. But yeah, people are happy to get 200-300 grand in debt. And what ends up happening is they spend years building up a deposit, or they even borrow money to get a deposit, and then they'll get in 200-300K of debt. This is why, yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. So, okay, cool. Right, we've been talking for an hour, and I said that we would talk about my business Bible. So we're going to stop talking about crypto now, and I'll quickly move on to the business Bible. So, yeah. Okay, all crypto stuff, we're going to stop now. We've been talking about that for an hour. And yesterday I promised that we'd talk about the business Bible. We won't spend too long on this. I'm just going to watch all the viewer numbers drop off a cliff now. But if you can see, hopefully I'm not showing my screen. If you're in business, you need your business Bible. So this is my business Bible. Now, what is the business Bible? It's basically how you run your business. So most business owners, they don't run their businesses properly. Like they'll they'll probably put something out on Facebook going, hey, I need a member of staff to do this, this, and this. Anyone know anyone? You'll probably get a whole bunch of direct messages. You'll probably do 2 or 3 interviews. You'll pick the best of a bad bunch. You go, right, you're joined. You'll then probably do a day or 2 of training and then expect them to get on with the job. And then you're then pissed off a week or a month later when you realize this member of staff is useless. Anyone gone through that process? It's pretty much every business owner that's done that. So so the problem that most business owners have with staff and teams and stuff is simply the training. It's the filtering through the interviews, hiring the right person, the onboarding, the training, the monitoring, the shadowing, and the reviewing. They don't do that. So what you have to do is basically type out every single task, even if it's making coffee every morning. Like, no matter how tiny the task is, you've got to turn it into an SOP, a standard operating procedure. And I used to do this personally. So I used to make the SOPs. I then used to train them up. But the cool thing is, and it's one of my little things that I'm actually really proud of, is that I have no influence, no control of the SOPs at the moment. So this whole Bible was not created by me. It's because it was done by my ops manager, Lewis, who's a freaking legend in the office. So he is now in charge of the SOPs. So he creates the SOPs and trains the people and signs them off, etc. And I'll show you what it is. So this is for one business called RT, so the RT Bible. And if we just pick a random thing, so you can't, oh man, this is gonna be impossible to show. So we got a little spreadsheet here. Oh man, I'm gonna have to move closer to the camera. And I'll speak louder because I'm moving the mic away. So first of all, we got a whole, what if I turn that light off? Is that better? No. You're just gonna have to imagine. This is basically a spreadsheet of every task there is, all itemized, etc. So we know what is done. We then, at the beginning, we've got a whole bunch of, who are we? What's the realist trader? What do we do? House rules, office rules, key contexts, basically all stuff learning about the business. And then eventually, if we skip forward, we'll get into the Bible part. And it looks like this. Here we go. Trying to find one which is on one page. Trying to find a suitable one which isn't too revealing. Okay, here we go. Here's one. So SOP 5.6. This is pay animators. So we have animators in the business. And as you can see, we've structured it in a way where it's, I'll just read out these things. So the first one is mission. Send payment to the animation team staff. Timescale, within the working day when payment is due. Task, use PayPal to transfer funds to animator. Method, and then the method is literally, you have to spell it out as though a 5-year-old is going to implement this SOP. 1, log into the PayPal account, details in 1 password, and click on the money section. 2, click on send or request. It literally spells out exactly what you do. So you can give this to a random person and they'll just follow the instructions and the task will be complete. At the bottom, desired effect. Animators receive their allotted payment for work completed. Importance is red. So we have a traffic light system here, green, amber, and red. Red ones are super important. So paying people is a very important task. Accountability, operations manager, absence of operations manager, admin coordinator. So they're the people that are responsible for this role. Now, this is just the generic one. Every member of staff has their own SOP thing. But what happens is once the person is trained up, you can see it says signed by trainer. So the trainer says, right, so if there's a new member of staff, they'll have their own piece of paper. They then sign it. So the trainer, in this case will be Lewis, who'll then sign it saying, I've trained this person on this, whatever. That person will then go and do this task for a month or 2 months or whatever, until that person is really confident and capable and competent of that task. And then once they're out of the shadowing period, you then come back to this piece of paper signed by trainee. So the trainee then goes, yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I'm happy to sign off that I take full accountability of this task, and they date it. Now, there's two things for the reason why you need this, two reasons. First reason is competence. You need to know that your team knows what they're doing. And if you follow this sort of structure, it works. And the second thing actually helps you. If in the future you ever need to manage out a person, and sometimes it's really hard to fire people these days, but if you ever need to manage someone out, this will save your ass. Because if someone screws up a task and they've signed it, etc., it's like they've actually said, look, I'm accountable for this task. I'm competent. I know what I'm doing. And if they then fail on a task, you then have a data entry going, right, so if you want to manage them out in the future, you can go, okay, they failed this OP, they failed it 10 times in a week or whatever. It's proof of failure, so to speak, and you'll need that. Jamie said, is this in the WAP? Yes, it is. Yeah, but ignoring the managing out stuff, it's just better because your whole business will know what to do. And if anyone goes sick or whatever, and you've got a newbie on the desk, you can be like, right, 5.1, do this, and it's literally, yeah. So it's invaluable. You really do need it. Now, I know there's loads of different things online, like you can have your own Wikipedia type thing, or there's loads of online ones, but it's messy. We tried that, and at the end of the day, it's better to just have a main RT Bible, and every new member of staff has their Bible full of thingies. And that way they have this thing which they can always lean on. And also, when you come to sell the business, this adds value to your business, by the way. Whoever buys your business wants to buy an organized business. They don't want something where every SOP is in the business owner's brain. That doesn't help anyone. This is essential, folks. So that is all we have time for today. We've been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. Last little sweep of the questions. 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶 has said, hey, Simon, I'm hoping to start a food delivery business. Would you use business partners to get wider leverage? Yes, I would. Or do you go solo? Oh, so business partners. So it depends on who the partners are. If it's your mate down the pub or business family member, no. If it's a decisive business partner who has like a huge list and a huge following, then yeah. But I'd go solo to begin with. Oh, by the way, Tom, I do have it on PDF. I am that removed from operations that I don't even know where it is. As the director, you should not be dicking around with the operations of your business. You need to leave that to better people. And I am the worst admin person on the planet. Hell, I've got 534 emails I still need to reply to, and about 42 direct Facebook messages. So I'm a bit maxed out, to be fair. But yeah, it is on PDF. Right. Thanks, folks. Hope today's helped, and I will see you tomorrow at 12. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. What's in the calendar? Let's have a look at the calendar. Any requests? I don't want to talk about crypto again. Today was enough. Oh, shit. Looks like I'm driving to Chelmsford tomorrow for something. I may have to do it in the car. So it's probably going to be a very quick one if it's going to be in the car tomorrow. Yeah, see you soon. Have a good one, folks. Bye.